Nerdrotic.com.
Welcome, travelers, to the fringes of reality, where the strange and mysterious meet, and the thin veil between fact and fiction is torn. Welcome to the Forbidden Frontier.
Oh, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. Let's hear it one more time. It's all about you. Welcome, chat. Welcome, Rumble. Welcome, YouTube. Look, Eric is in both. How do you do that? He's like
He's a professional.
He's bi-streamial.
Okay.
He's bi-streamial. Mod Eric, ladies. For those of you listening
Valiant
at home,
effort.
Valiant effort. Thank you. Mod Eric.
Eric the Bi-Streamial. Got it.
Lizette. And, Lord.
I think Zorbu also is it. Never mind. Sorry.
We don't even want to bring up. Garrett is on assignment with Zorbu right now.
Reassignment.
Reassignment.
Capital AS. All right.
No, he's slaving away, quarter slaving away on a video. So, yeah. We have a respect.
Don't worry. The three quarters
I'm not going to be.
is making sure he's staying on task.
Making sure he's on time.
Working overtime.
Oh, hey, we got a hell of a show. We got a big star. I'm surprised he even lowered himself to come on this show now.
Oh my god!
Because
right? The big wigs now.
Pants has been on Joe Rogan. We got Luke Caverns.
Lots changed since you've been on the show, Luke.
Yeah,
a lot has changed. It's been is the last time I was on right before I went on Rogan?
Yep.
Yes,
I think
believe
so.
so.
Yeah.
Wow.
You had mentioned something big was happening.
Yeah.
yes,
You did. Well, I mean, we knew, but
man, that was the end of May, and now it's August. Man, where did the summer go? It just flew by. I haven't even been on a normal routine since, I don't know, I guess like the beginning of May. I feel like, it's just been a crazy time period. I blinked and the whole summer went by, and I'm glad that now I'm kind of settling down a little bit. But from Rogan up until like a few weeks ago, it was just go. Yeah, so it's been a crazy summer.
Yeah,
welcome to full-time content creation. Yeah, you moved. Rogan,
hit 100K.
How many subs have you gained since Rogan?
Maybe like 45,000.
Yeah.
Should be more.
100K. He got his plaque.
Yep, the plaque came in yesterday. My wife, so I was living in our new house all summer, and she was spending the summer with her family. And then she just arrived like maybe 5 days ago or something. So I've been spending some time with her, and so we had a little birthday party yesterday finally, and then we did like a little 100K celebration, and she got me some nice stuff. So it's been fun. So now I'm kind of just I don't travel. I go to the Amazon in November, so I've got some time to just kind of put out some videos and kick it at home for a while.
Nice.
Finally.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Then it's to the Amazon. And then we got to have you back because I want to hear all about it.
Oh, yeah. It's me and Will Brown from Incredible History. If you guys have seen him on X before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
And you're doing a tour.
Stuff.
Yeah, we're doing an ancient Columbia Amazon tour, and
So
we're going
cool.
to see the petroglyph wall of La Lindosa, I believe.
That's amazing.
And it's really cool. And they don't really exactly know how old that petroglyph wall is, and it seems to depict animals that they know used to exist in northern South America. some 12,000 years ago, but no longer exists today. So there's a lot of really interesting stuff that we're taking a group out to see. It's a really last minute trip. I think we leave in like 3 months. So we just announced it yesterday, and we got a couple people on board. So it's a very small tour, but if anybody watching is interested, yeah, we just announced it yesterday.
You got the link to throw in there, X-Ray Girl?
No,
Yeah,
I was gonna check
It's
his
probably
Twitter.
on my X. It's probably on my X. Yeah.
Okay, we'll throw in
That's what I thought.
the link if you're interested in going to south of the Amazon. Get your snake boots.
Yes.
Yes. Bring
Yeah,
your-
the snakes are no better in Colombia than they are in Mexico or Central America. It's exactly the same snakes, maybe some more species, but you still have the really bad ones there too. So yeah, we're gonna have to be on everybody about having the proper foot protection. But I'm really excited to go. This is I've been to the Amazon, I've been to the Peruvian Amazon around Machu Picchu, but this time is like the Amazon. So I'm really excited to go. Yep, and that's Will right there standing at the petroglyphs. So yeah,
Those things are a trip, and they go way. They're like pretty high up, right? Like,
Right.
oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that rock art, man, that spans all over the Americas. It's something that goes back to deep time. I mean, you find it all around the world. I guess it's probably the oldest form of human art, right? Of making images. And so, yeah, it's really hard to know how old a lot of these things are, and hard to know exactly what these people are trying to depict. That rock art is something I've been getting into recently. Now on the East Coast, I'm finally, in Texas, you're not really around a lot of archaeological sites. But now that I'm out on the East Coast, you're around a whole bunch of mound sites. So I've been looking more into sites in North America above the Rio Grande, which out here we're in mound builder area, but you have the American Southwest with a lot of rock arts. That's pretty similar to what La Mendoza looks like, and I've really been getting into it. Man, it's some deep stuff. Have any of you guys gone out to Pueblo, Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, or anything like that?
I've been
You're
to Mesa
supposed to be
Verde.
going,
Okay.
Gary, right? Chaco. You guys,
Yeah,
been talking
we're gonna
about it for a
go on
while.
our own little Chaco Canyon run, but I've been to Mesa Verde
Okay.
a long time ago with the
Yeah.
family. I just went to Blythe.
Yep.
Yeah, we just checked
Oh,
those out.
that's where you were at. Right.
Giant like
was
geoglyphs.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you need a drone. Like I was like,
Oh
God
yeah.
damn it, I need a drone. But we went out and it was like 170,000 degrees outside. And you drive on this dirt road for a little bit, and there's like 7 sites where there's little fences around them. Some asshole drove over one of them, so that's why they had to put the fences around them.
Yeah.
And they're a trip. There's one that looks like a squatter man, kind of
Mhm.
like a little elongated squatter man. But definitely we're like, if you're driving from, I guess, Arizona to LA, it's just right. It's in Blythe. So it's about 12 miles off the road. It's totally worth it.
I've done a lot of
Absolutely.
looking on Google Earth around there, and you've got those. I think there's 3 major lines or images that are made in the ground, but maybe some 15 miles south of there, I've found near some ancient dried up rivers off to the sides of them, up on the side of the hill. There's even more out there.
There is.
Oh yeah. I knew there had to be. And so I just looked and looked. I spent like half a day and I marked a whole bunch of sites. So that's something I want to
send
go
it
out
to
and
me.
do.
Yeah, I'm going back
Yeah, I
out there
will.
in a couple of months. I'll go back by.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah, I'll do some off road. I got a 4x4.
Bring a drone next time, maybe.
Yeah.
I have a drone in Wisconsin. That's what sucks. Is I have a drone.
Oh, it's there. No, yeah.
I need to pick it up, but no, we need a drone for this, and yeah, this is going to be fun. So, Luke has, of course, a lot to talk about. You actually covered a lot of stuff lately, and I
you've
mean
been
lately,
killing it,
like
man.
relatively lately, and
Loving the
absolutely
videos.
killing it. And the views are up too. It's not just the subs. Views are up. So that's engagement. That's real engagement that you can get a shout out from anybody and it will help you sub-wise, but it's up to you to get them to watch. And
well,
I
thank you,
told you had good stuff, man.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, what I've been trying to do is really focus on topics that aren't so saturated. Like most of the topics on my YouTube aren't things that most people talk about. Or if they are, it's some other kind of angle. So I've been trying to, really, not like ride a trend or anything, but just talk about things that I'm personally finding interesting in this moment. And making. I used to write out my scripts like word for word, and then I realized that it's felt a lot smoother and there was more of a connection between me and the audience if I just studied the hell out of it and then laid out some bullet points and I just go off the top of my head and speak naturally. Yeah. And it's worked really well this summer, and I've very much enjoyed this process of I've kind of found a new way that I write my videos. But yeah, it's been great. I've been really, really pleased with the reception and the audience growing. It's just crazy that
it's an easier way to make video. Like a script. I've never scripted one.
Mm-hmm.
I've scripted one out ever. And I remember we talked about that. Like, no, I just go off the cuff. It's way easier.
And people like it, when I found that the videos that I put the absolute most effort into as possible, whether it was like, if I was thinking about the retention or blah, 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 just overthinking it never mattered. But if I just got on camera and I just spoke to the camera like I was on a podcast, it just connects, it's just, it's more authentic. So that's what I've been doing, and it's worked. And I'm just very thrilled that it's all kind of finally coming together.
I am too. So what do you want to start with, man?
Oh God, I don't know, man.
Yeah, right.
What are
you guys interested in?
Because you went to see the
you mentioned that you were there a while ago, maybe last year. You were there where they just started cracking into these tunnels at the top of Machu Picchu, and that you would have some information. And I'm like, what is in there? What's going on? So what can you tell us?
Yeah, so the Chinkana project. Yeah,
right.
Very controversial. I'm coming to find out. Yeah, it's funny. Like I go through this whole realm totally. I kind of exist on my own island. I don't really work with many people, I guess, in this space or whatever. And I got involved in the Chinkana project. I'm like I guess the English speaking I should say English speaking representative for the Cusco Chinkana crowdfunding project. And so I got involved in this, and then I didn't realize that there were other people out there who claim that they're the ones that actually found the Chinkanas first. So yeah. It's a whole thing. There are so many people who say that they were the ones that found. So the Chinkanas, I should say, we should preface what exactly this is. So there's so many mysteries in Peru. And now if we go to like the Inca realm, in the Inca realm, you have a lot. You have the lost city of the Incas, which is Vilcabamba. You have Machu Picchu, which was actually the real lost city. No one ever knew that Machu Picchu existed, other than the locals who lived around the mountain before Hiram Bingham found it or documented it. You have the megalithic cyclopean stones of Sacsayhuaman, but then you have this added element of the Chinkanas, and most people haven't heard about this up until late last year, when they had just announced that they were finding it on GPR, which is ground penetrating radar. So last year in September, I was there, and I was also there in June. So a couple months ago. And when I was there in September, they had just announced that they were going to begin the project. Now, I was wrong when I said that I had been to a part of the Chinkanas. I talked about this on Rogan, but I was actually mistaken. I don't know if it was a mistranslation or whatever, but there are tunnels up on Sacsayhuaman that are nearby where the Chinkanas are. And they think that maybe somehow, some way, those tunnels connect to the underground tunnels that go beneath Sacsayhuaman, underneath Cusco. Yeah, so these are the ones that you can go in. I took this photo, and we think this is probably somewhat what the Chinkanas look like, including areas of the Chinkanas, these tunnels that are lined with the huge imperial gray andesite stonework that you see in the city of Cusco. But as the story goes, it it begins underneath Sacsayhuaman and it goes underneath the hilltop all the way down into the city beneath the Coricancha, which is the Temple of the Sun in the center of the city of Cusco. So this legend, this is actually cool. I wish I had it with me. So Lauren, my wife, got me this yesterday for my birthday. It's one of the old copies of Garcilaso de la Vega's royal commentaries of the Incas. Now, Garcilaso de la Vega is where this story comes from. And have all of you guys been to Peru? Adam, have you gone?
Haven't been yet.
Oh man.
They mentioned this legend. Like, it wasn't stated to us that like it's a fact, but there could be tunnels that go all the way to Cusco. Our tour guide said that.
Yeah. So Garcilaso de la Vega is the first account of where this comes from. So he is the son of an Inca princess and a wealthy Spaniard, and he lives in Cusco, raised in Inca royalty as well as in a wealthy Spanish household, up until the time he's about 20 or 21, and then he sets sail back for Spain to reclaim his father's wealth and fortune, and he becomes a learned man and a very wealthy businessman. And later on in his life, he looks back on his childhood and he writes about growing up in the city of Cusco, and then he publishes this in 1609. And there's a part in the book that's just like an aside where he talks about these Chinkanas, which were these tunnels that started beneath Sacsayhuaman and went all the way to the Coricancha. And he talks about how they were lined with the huge, they're not cyclopean stones, but we call them imperial stones, these huge imperial andesite stones. You remember the more rectangular stones that are in Cusco, lined with stones like that. And then he says that the Indians told him to not go further than the light can reach, lest you get lost inside of the tunnels. And so this is just like an aside in the commentaries of the Incas, 1609. And since then, people have been looking for the Chinkanas and looking for them, and no one's ever really found them. But there are all these stories of people who supposedly did. In the mid to late 1800s, there were supposedly European explorers that went down inside of them, but then they got lost. And then the Peruvian government supposedly basically destroyed the portals, which is the entrances to the tunnels. I don't really know if any government would actually do something like that. And then there are people who, gosh, I think in the 40s, the 80s, and even maybe 15, 20 years ago, stories of people who supposedly went to the Coricancha, and there was an Inca priest there or a Catholic priest there that was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take you into the entrance of the Chinkanas." And then for one reason or another, this person who was allowed to see them was sworn to secrecy, and the entrance has never been revealed. So, it's a huge mystery that most people haven't ever heard about in Peru. And so I was very fortunate to be asked to be a part of the crowdfunding project. And so they're working on that right now. It's a really, really cool, it's a really cool mystery, and I hope that they find it. So what they're doing now is they're using GPR up at Sacsayhuaman and down at the Coricancha, going around the sides, trying to find cavities underneath the ground. And then they'll get like an excavation plot, and then they'll dig carefully down and down and down and down. Yep, there it is. And then so he's running the GPR there.
That's
and then
a serious looking thing.
Yeah. So they keep finding the voids underneath the ground, and they're digging deeper and deeper, but they haven't broken into it yet. The other thing that they worry about is, what if they find the tunnels, but the part that they found is collapsed? Then you've got to dig like horizontally, and you've got to pull all the ground down. So this could be I think it's very likely that the Chinkanas exist. There are a lot of people who are speculative over Garcilaso de la Vega's memory of his childhood in Cusco, but this seems like such a specific memory and such a specific thing to say that I don't think he's being confused. Like, how do you accidentally write that there is a tunnel system that goes from Sacsayhuaman to Cusco that's lined with megalithic stonework? So I think that it's probably true that they really do exist. It's just hard, the I guess the biggest stone to get over is going to be, are they collapsed, or were the stones mined up by the Spaniards in the mid 1600s? Garcilaso de la Vega leaves in the late 1500s. You have, a few hundred years there where we don't know what's going on with the Chinkanas. And so you could have Spaniards go down in there and just take all the stones out to build modern day Cusco. And, and then it's made out of dirt and it collapses and there are no tunnels anymore. So it's kind of like, are we, it's tough to know. And there may be pockets where everything else is collapsed, but there's this pocket of the preserved part of the tunnel that they find with the GPR. They dig down and they find this little pocket of it. But, so anyways, that's what I went to go see when I was in Peru. And that's what I've kind of been up to lately. I completed my project within maybe a couple weeks ago, but it was a lot of work. So that
group that you're mentioning, is that who we saw in the pictures?
Yes, it's I don't want to I'm blanking right now because I feel the pressure to remember his full name. But if you go back to the link that I have, you'll have the full names of the archaeologists who work with the Cusco's Ministry of Antiquities, and they are the guys who are in charge of it. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I'm curious about details of how there can be a discrepancy of like who's running this project. If you got this other team.
So Jorge Calero Flores. Yeah, I just want to make sure I got his name right.
Okay.
So he's the head archaeologist. Really super nice guy. So there's no discrepancy over who is actually running the thing.
It's who found it, you said. Oh, yeah, right.
It's who found it. And so,
all right.
As far as I know,
but found what though? Because if did they find something? Is it just the pockets?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't know all the details, but
okay.
And I don't know if the guy who originally found them, I don't think that he is Peruvian. I think he's a European that lives in Peru. Maybe he lives in Cusco. And I don't want to be misrepresenting, so I'm not going to actually say his name. I don't know the full story. But I intend to learn it at some point. But from what I know, I think that it's a European who's not a Peruvian that's living in Cusco, who without Cusco's Ministry of Antiquities authorization ran GPR on his own in next to the Coricancha and found this pocket next to the Coricancha before Cusco's Ministry of Antiquities did. And I think that he wanted to get the permit to be the archaeologist that dug there, but Cusco's Ministry of Antiquities was like, no. And then they ran their own GPR, also found that pocket, and now they're digging. I don't really know what to say about that whole thing, because Cusco's Ministry of Antiquities is there for a reason, right? That's what they do. And if I moved to Cusco and I got an apartment in Cusco and I ran GPR without their authorization and I found something and then I wanted to be the head archaeologist there, they're going to tell me no.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Yeah.
No, I know there's more to this. There's definitely more to that story. That's hyper simplified. But that's all that I know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're going to a different country. You got to play ball with them. I mean,
right.
Maybe it sucks, but at least you have to get in first.
Mm-hmm. I think that the other thing is that I think this might be one of the big things is that this other group thinks that the Coricancha may be a remnant of a culture that was older than the Inca, like a pre-Diluvian, Atlantean, whatever. And so Cusco's Ministry of Culture is especially insulted by that idea, because they're run by people who their ancestors are the Inca. They're all Inca people. Jorge Calero Flores is an Inca himself, is a descendant of them. So, that's kind of the hard thing is you're playing ball with people who see this as their ancestral heritage, as their patrimony. And so if you're investigating it,
you mention it being a national project.
That's unfortunately is the block in a lot of countries is national pride.
Right.
Even
That's
with
kinda
our
what I was
tour
leaning
guide,
towards.
she was sweet as hell, but she did say this is pre-Incan and this is pre-Incan, begrudgingly, right? But
But
I
when
don't
it
know.
was Incan, she's like,
I don't know. I mean, she wouldn't really say, or I didn't press her on it about like Sacsayhuaman. You know, it's like those giant stones, and it's Incan. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think so. Especially since some reports have the Inca saying, "No, we didn't build this. We had nothing to do with this."
That's certainly true. There are stories. I think it's at the temple of or the palace of Inca Roca that there's a story. I don't know if it comes from Garcilaso de la Vega. It might be Cieza de Leon. All of these Spaniard names just run together. But he reports of either himself or another Spaniard standing at the wall asking, how did the stones get like this? How'd you do this? And it said, and they told him that the stones were always there, that they were made by the gods. So,
Cool.
it's, I find it fascinating. I think in my very conservative approach, I view it as possibly, and I find this in other places in Peru too, that there's another chapter of South American history that goes further back. And I think my conservative idea is that, well, there were probably even more ancient South Americans. So while they're not Inca, they are the people that the Inca come from, just thousands of years earlier. I have never, ever proposed, and I'm kind of repulsed by the idea that it was white people that did all of this. I literally don't care about that at all. I think that they were all South Americans, but you look at some of the things. You look at the artifact record in comparison to what we have in front of us, and there's clearly a mystery here. There's either technology and tools that aren't preserved, down through time that are missing. And so we have this huge gap in our understanding of what these people were capable of, or it was an even older culture that did have the capability and something happened to them and their tools. It's just, there's obviously some kind of mystery here. But to me, I think it was all South American people, may not have been the Inca, but the people who came before them. That's sort of the way I view it.
The Inca just didn't spring up out of the ground. So, and there's the Paracas people, and then there's the, there's, and even here in America, there's Clovis, and then there's pre-Clovis, and we don't know what the hell they were, and by the way, there was also different kinds of hominids here who might have been more intelligent than we thought. There's that I just drove on that freeway 56 in San Diego, Luke, and that's where they found the mammoth tusk when they were digging up that freeway. That, just a side thing, it goes to fucking nowhere. It was a waste of money. And they found that mammoth tusk that Graham talks about in the first Age of Apocalypse, where they found tool marks on it, right? And it goes back 150,000 years. And it could have been Neanderthal, it could have been whatever, but that's just one example, and that's finding something by complete accident. And a lot of this stuff here in the Americas, anyway, that's been bulldozed by us, the settlers, all the mounds that are gone. It's only when we're constructing something or building something where we find something like this.
Exactly.
Unless it's a dinosaur bone just laying on the ground in Utah. But that's I not everything has to come from Atlantis, but it could, like, I believe in Atlantis. I believe in some kind of mother culture, but it could be descended. Like, it is multi-generational. It could be the 3rd generation, 4th generation, 20th, who knows? That still hangs on to that technology for a little while. Like, some people pass it down, and it just eventually fades and gets worse. And that's the one thing that we see everywhere is older stuff, not, for the most part, can be better. Is a lot. It's better made. So there has to be some explanation for that. There has to be. Either we were just better back then and somehow we degraded, or it came from something else.
That's definitely true for the Olmecs and the Maya. Definitely. Yeah. I know we've talked about that into oblivion, but the Olmecs, as far as Mesoamerican cultures, they arise, they erect these 52-ton heads, pull them, 90 some odd kilometers through the swamps, mountains, ravines, rivers, and other monuments too, much more than just the heads. And then the the Maya, who seem to grow alongside the latter part of the Olmecs. They erect their two largest pyramids, La Danta and El Tigre, in the middle of the Guatemalan jungle in the Petén rainforest, like the least hospitable place in all of the Maya world is actually the origin of Maya civilization. And the two largest pyramids that they ever built were the first two pyramids that they built, alongside this other city called Nakbe. And it's definitely true there. I think the hard part is that we're just less certain about South America, and Peru is so much more dense. Peru's as dense or more dense than Mexico, as far as its ancient cultures and archaeological sites. It's a really big question mark.
It is. It's the South American Egypt right now. It's like the tourism's picking up. It's cheap there. The people are nice. Like it's a really easy place to travel. And I think, now that we have more people actually down there, and they have so much stuff they can't keep track of it. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of sites. When we went down there, we just saw the main ones, and that wasn't even scratching the surface of what's down there.
Yeah, you were in the Sacred Valley, right? Did you spend all your time in the Sacred Valley?
Sacred Valley, Cusco, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Man, that's really the Inca / pre-Inca realm, but man, there's so much more. You've got Paracas and Nazca, you've got the Moche, you've got Chavin de Huantar. I mean, it can just go on and on and on and on and on with the cultures that are there. You've got the Amazonians, which we don't really know much about in Peru, but they were very scary, and the Inca could never conquer them. As powerful as the Inca were, the Inca could just got their asses kicked constantly by the Amazonians. So, man, there's just so much there. What you said about Peruvians being so nice, so true, man. I've been all around the world a few times now, and most of the places that I go, the dogs that are wandering around the streets have never known love. They don't hover around you. They don't expect to be petted. They probably don't even know what it's like to be petted and to be loved on. But the people in those countries can be nice, but it's almost like a lot of them, they put on this facade, but the way that the stray animals behave tells you who these people really are.
That's a really good point.
And the values that they have. And dude, in Peru, there ain't one skinny dog in that country.
Nope.
They're so
every stray dog is
lovely.
fat and happy, and the dogs on the sidewalks will come up and just lean up against you.
They'll just chill.
They want you to
so
pet them.
friendly.
Oh, yeah. And so like at the gate to Machu Picchu, all the stray dogs are laying on their stomachs. They don't move out of the way for you. They're all fat. They're all being petted by everybody. The Peruvians, along with the deep jungle Maya people, are the nicest, most genuine people I have ever met traveling around the world. They take care of their animals. I mean, the Maya, man, they'll be living in this little village that's got like 15 huts with like 250 dogs. And you can tell all of their money goes to paying for all of this dog food. And they have puppies running around everywhere. Peru's exactly the same, and the people are just so nice. I'm so happy that tourism in Peru is kicking up. And Cusco in particular is probably my favorite place I've ever traveled. It's just
I could live there. It reminded me of Sicily. I mean, that's pretty much very chill, still modern enough. And yes, the internet's good.
It feels very
really
safe
good.
there.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, just amazing.
Dude, when we were going up, and it was so funny. Our tour guide was just talking about how they innovated the terraces. And she's all, the reason they innovated the terraces was cocaine, or was coca leaves. Coca leaves were all cocaine. It's a great motivator. Yeah, that's great. But we're going by these farms, and there's like these people watching the fields, right? And it's a little kid. It's a little kid about 10 years old, just chilling with their little blanket over him, with a little stick out there in the middle of the field, just driving by. And it's like, that's so weird. And it's just a kid just chilling and keeping an eye on things. They're doing a job, about time they get to work. 10 years old, lazy bastards. But no, and they're perfectly safe. And I remember we brought it up extra ago. We're like, there's just kids out here and they're totally safe. It's totally cool. Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the I should clarify one step further. It really is the Inca people in particular that are the nicest. Now, I've been to Lima. It's not exactly the same in Lima.
Yeah, Lima's
I've heard that Nazca is rough as well.
Yeah.
So it seems to be the Inca in particular, I should clarify. People hearing that, don't just drop into any city in Peru.
No.
Go to Cusco in the Sacred Valley.
Sophie was saying there's a part, I think it was near, if you're out there, Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong. And she's like, there's basically a town with fucking pirates. Like you go down there, you're done. Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I believe
Inca it. People, very nice. Cusco, nice. You're good. You go to Cusco, just spend your time there. Get used to the altitude. The food is
definitely a few days there.
Don't eat the muskrat or whatever the hell X-ray girl ate.
It's not.
I had steak. The steak was great. It was a perfectly made steak. So.
Dude, Lauren and I went to a little. We went to this. It was this high-end steakhouse, something we could never afford in the States. I think it cost us like $75 by the end of it. But they brought out a I don't even know, a fillet and an alpaca steak or an alpaca fillet as well. And it was on like this super hot stone with these homemade tortilla
like a
chips.
tile.
Yeah. Man,
Still
we were
sizzling.
sitting there and we're like, wow, this is big living right here.
Yeah,
we could never do something like this in the States.
It's the same thing in Brazil where you can go for $30 and get like a lot of food. More food than you can ever imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. That's, except for Dan Vask, who's starving, as he should, because he doesn't make videos. But just kidding, Dan. Not really. You're gay. I'm looking over. Oh, look at this. 163,000 views too. Good job. Library of Alexandria.
Oh no.
Library of Alexandria.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit.
Are you gonna go to Alexandria when you do your Egypt tour?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we are.
I want to.
But I think Michael said that he's going to stay for 3 days or so he might do additional stuff on top of the tour if you are there. So
if you want to stay.
Oh, you guys gotta go. You gotta go. It's I wish I could personally give you a tour because I know so much about Alexandria. So when you're going around Egypt, the big draw is all the big mysteries, right? But the big mysteries are based around stones. They're based around stone vases, weird stone artifacts like the schist disc and the little crazy thing that's next to it. They're based around the pyramids and how they erect these massive temples with these, solid piece granite columns and how they carve these granite statues to, with the precision that they do, with the polish that they have. Alexandria is a totally different thing. It's utterly different. So, and it's there's so much to unpack with Alexandria. It's unlike the rest of Egypt, we know when Alexandria was built and we know when it took place and we know the context around it. So it gives us a completely different perspective of Egypt. It's like this last chapter of the Egyptian world that most people, you've heard of the Lighthouse of Alexandria, you've heard of the library, but you don't realize that there is a world of context around it that actually possibly informs some of the things that were going on in very, very ancient Egypt. And this has been said forever, but the way they say we're closer to Cleopatra than she was to the pyramids, the same thing is true for the city of Alexandria. We are about 500 years closer to the city of ancient Alexandria than Alexandria was to the pyramids. So the pyramids were very, very ancient, even when Alexandria was being built. Now, the way we know how old Alexandria is because of its founder, Alexander the Great. He had historians, people who were writing a chronology of his life or writing journals and diaries alongside him. So we know what he's up to basically every second of his entire life, especially once Philip II is assassinated. So long story short about Alexandria, we can skip all this, but he wants to find a place called Pharos Island, which is a place that Odysseus supposedly found in the Odyssey, which is Homer's work that comes after the Iliad. Which, by the way, I wonder if this will be in Nolan's movie, if they'll show Pharos Island, because it's historically it's an important thing. But Alexander sets out to find the island. He does. He sees this strip of land that's right next to the island, and he realizes with his Greek mind, because the Greeks like to build on the water, hey, this is an advantageous place to build a city. I want to found Alexandria here. So he draws it out with his own hand, with like a saddlebag of grain. He lays it out on the ground and draws the city out with his own hand. And then they build the city. Alexander dies. He never gets to return. Now, Ptolemy, who is Alexander's best friend, becomes pharaoh of Egypt within a couple decades. Now, Ptolemy's son and his grandson, so it's Ptolemy 1, 2, and 3. They're the good Ptolemies, basically, and they're responsible for the construction of Alexandria's library and the lighthouse. Gary, do you remember when we were at that history museum and I showed you that thing on the wall that had the cartouche of Ptolemy II? And I said, there's only two buildings that this could come out of: the Library of Alexandria or the Lighthouse of Alexandria. And they don't have anything. They don't have anything on there. It just says Ptolemy II, Alexandria. That there's only two places that would come from. Those are his two projects that he did, and which is crazy. I mean, I don't know how that's not on the plaque, and how the curators of the museum don't have something there.
That's in Texas. That's
it's
that place
in San Antonio. Yeah,
like,
it was in San Antonio.
How did that end up there?
I know. I thought this was just going to be this little jaunt to Hey with Luke, and I see a piece of the library or possibly lighthouse of Alexandria. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
San Antonio.
Cool.
It was so cool. It was like it was unadorned. They just kind of put it up there, and
and it had his cartouche. And so I was looking at it, I was like, I know that cartouche, but I got to look it up. So I sit there for 5 minutes on my phone, and I see it's Ptolemy II, and I can tell by the art style that it's not New Kingdom, it's not Old Kingdom, it's later on. It's like Greek Egyptian. You can tell that the art styles change. When you go through Egypt, you'll be like, oh, this is definitely different than the Old Kingdom. Like Old Kingdom is by bar none the finest artwork in all of Egypt. It just descends in quality from there.
So weird.
Yeah. But and then the Greeks, they have like weird noodle arms, and the hieroglyphs get all complicated, and they're not as elegant anymore. So I could tell that it was something late. I just didn't know what it was. And when I saw it was Ptolemy II, I was like, what? This is from the lighthouse or the library. And I look at it and I think about all the people that just walked right by it,
and just go, that's a neat little thing.
Yeah. We'll walk right by it nowadays, but also in ancient times. All the things has seen, just
how many hands it's been passed through, how many things, like how many battles it survived. I think about that too all the time, of just like, how many people have died who looked at this stone right here? Has anybody I'm related to ever seen this stone right here? It's that's what I love about this. The mystery of history. But walking to a San Antonio museum, that was the last thing I expected to see.
Crazy.
I mean, in my mind, the Library of Alexandria is still mythical. Like, and you've been there, so do you know where the location is? Do we have any? I mean, aside from that, like verified just pieces of the structure that are still out there?
No, it's completely lost to time. The reason being is not because it seems like it in the thumbnail and the title of my video that I'm gonna chalk it all up to the burning. But the burning didn't completely destroy the library. But historians try to downplay the significance. Essentially, what happens is Julius Caesar is laying siege to the city of Alexandria, and to prevent Pompey's fleets from which was his rival in Rome, to prevent his fleets from fleeing the city, he says burn the docks. So they burn all the boats and they burn the docks. Well, Alexandria's library was located on the docks. And so you would dock up to the library, and then some Ptolemaic soldiers would board your ship, and they would like scrounge your ship for any writings, whether it was diaries, historical writings, books, famous books, really what they were looking for, whatever. And so if it was something important enough, they would confiscate it all. They would go through it in the library during your stay in the city of Alexandria. And if it was important, they would copy it down and they would give you the copy and they would
give you the original back. Like,
Yeah,
here
yeah.
you go, the original.
Oh.
Exactly. And there had to be people who knew that they were getting a copy back, that they weren't keeping the original. The Ptolemies
What are they
were,
going to do, though,
Yeah. The Ptolemies were obsessed with having original copies of all types of books, just like people are today. And so when Caesar burned the docks, the fire crawls up the docks into Alexandria's library. Now, the thing that differentiated and separated the city of Alexandria from most cities in the ancient world. Now, when you think about ancient Egypt, and you think most of the time you think of the temples or you think of pyramids, probably after you visited Egypt, at least, maybe not after the first time, but definitely after the second time, your image of Egypt is actually going to be the temples, because there's way more temples than there are pyramids. They're absolutely everywhere. But that's all you can think of is these, just majestic, huge temples. But the actual cities themselves were probably pretty scrappy, like just buildings that were thrown together, a lot of cheap buildings. A lot of poor people lived in ancient Egypt because it was all about the royal family, the pharaohs, the priests, and the landholders, who are usually the priests. But Alexandria was different. The city itself was wealthy, and the people who lived in it lived seemingly good lives, and the entire city was made out of stone. Whereas in most ancient cities, most of it, maybe it has a stone foundation, but most of the city is made out of wood. So they're constantly being burned down from accidental fires. And there's a joke that ancient Rome was always on fire at any given time. One neighborhood of like the 16 or 17 neighborhoods was always on fire. But Alexandria never dealt with that because the entire city and all of its buildings were made out of stone. But the interior and the accents of the buildings are, of course, made out of wood. So like the second floor of Alexandria's library and all the shelves where the scrolls are being kept are all made out of wood. And so the fire crawls up the docks into the library and spreads through the interior, but it doesn't actually burn down the structure itself. And now, nobody knows exactly how many scrolls were burned just in that first burning, but it was significant enough that later on when Caesar died, I forget what year that is. I think that it's like 48 BC that the fire happened. Well, later on when Caesar dies, his cousin, Mark Antony, and Cleopatra fall in love, and they have their romance. And Mark Antony gives Cleopatra a gift of, I think, 200,000 scrolls to the library, which is kind of like harkening back to 15 years earlier when the library was burned down, and it's sort of making up for this, right? So it's a significant gift to make up for something very bad that happened earlier. Well, then I think it's either 9 BC that Augustus dies, or it's 9 BC that he lays siege to Alexandria again, and this is when Cleopatra and Mark Antony die. Well, he burns the docks just like Caesar did, and then burns the library again. Most people don't realize that. So the library gets burned down the second time. We don't know how significant the damage is, but it's probably significant. Some of the historical sources tell us that it was burned down and the library was significantly damaged. Then we fast forward to I think the late 3rd century, let's call it like 280 AD. And no. So next we go to Caracalla. Yeah. So in Caracalla comes after Marcus Aurelius. So we're in the late 3rd century, somewhere around 280 AD. My Roman history is not the best. I'm just throwing this out.
It's all good. It's all
good. So
it's better
Caracalla,
than mine.
Better than mine.
So in the city of Alexandria, Alexandrians, which are now Egyptian, Greek, Roman, and Jewish people, and some Africans, are all living there amongst each other. It's an extremely metropolitan, diverse place, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Well, they love stand-up comedy. Comedy has been around for some 800 years now. It started in Athens, Greece, with the plays. Now it's straight up stand-up comedy where you have a dude who's kind of like a jokester sitting in the middle of the stage, and he's just popping off jokes at everyone's expense. And their favorite person to make jokes about was the Roman emperor. And so the emperor at this time was Caracalla. Everybody remembers Caracalla kills his son Gaius, I think. Yeah, I think his brother's name, or he kills his brother Gaius, because you have the twin emperors. This is in Gladiator. It's this guy. So, and Caracalla was actually way more of a badass in real life than he was in the movie. So that being said, Caracalla was not the dude to F with, but they would make all these jokes at his expense, thinking, well, he's never going to hear about it. He lives across the Mediterranean in Rome. He's busy, blah, blah, blah. He's not going to care about us cracking jokes late at night in the theater. Well, he makes a royal visit to Alexandria. He makes a royal visit to Alexandria. He probably shows up at the theater, and he lines up 25,000 Alexandrians and slaughters them all to death and burns down the palisade of Alexandria with all of the rich aristocrats living in the city that allowed all of these jokes to be told at his expense. So he burned down the library again. And then we have the Emperor Domitian in the early 4th century BC, so the early 300s AD. Domitian arrives in... Yeah, I think it's Domitian. He arrives in Alexandria to squash a revolt. I believe that there is a young Egyptian who rises, and people don't realize this. This dude is actually the last pharaoh of Egypt. He was an Egyptian who's the most recent pharaoh in like 1,000 years at this time. He rises up, gets all of these supporters in this bootstrapped army around him, and he declares himself the new pharaoh of Egypt. And they basically secede from the Roman Empire. And Domitian arrives on the shores of Alexandria and just burns the entire city to the ground and kills that dude. And then the Roman Empire is right back in control again. And then in 365 AD,
But this is 3 fires at this point.
Yeah.
Just 4? No, 3. That was the 4th.
So it's Caesar, Augustus, Caracalla, Domitian. So
okay.
4 fires.
4 fires.
Yeah. And then so I imagine Alexandria at this point being like that little skeleton creature that's in SpongeBob that's like in the wheelchair, just like it's just the library is just barely hanging on by a thread. And so then in 365 AD, this massive tsunami off of the coast of either Cyprus or it's Crete, but in the northern Mediterranean. It's like one of the biggest tsunamis in recorded history. Just shakes the Mediterranean, and it sends the tsunami straight towards Alexandria. And the historical sources say that it just soared over Alexandria's 35-foot. It was a walled city. And the waves of the Mediterranean just soar over the 35-foot walls and bring all of the boats in Alexandria's harbor crashing onto the rooftops of the city of Alexandria. And it's after this event. So it was such a big event that it's either Pliny the Younger or Pliny the Elder who comes down on a rescue mission from Sicily or from Italy. And he's a prominent writer. I think it's Pliny the Younger. And he writes that there were 50,000 people unaccounted for from the city. And there was an evacuation as well. The population of the city was probably around 1 million people. So, that's a good size of the population that's just gone. And after this point, we do not know the location of Alexandria's library, the Museum, which is right next to it. People don't realize it was a college campus. You had the library, but then you had the Museum, which was the place where experiments were being held. It was like the place of active learning. So the library is a place for studying and reading the books. The Museum was for active learning and test. It was like the labs, right? Both of these things are together. There's also another element that I'll tell you about in a moment that you can go see when you go to Alexandria. It's the only thing that exists from Alexandria's library. People don't realize this. And across the street from it was the Alexander's mausoleum. And so you had his monument, probably with a statue on top, and you had this underground labyrinth portion where he was buried in the center with all of the Ptolemaic pharaohs around him. After this tsunami, we'd never hear of the location of Alexandria's library, the Museum, or Alexander's mausoleum, including his body, ever again. Probably because it was the area of the city that was hit the hardest, and all of the stones were just reused for different projects, and the foundation of the city was just completely jumbled at that point. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So when you go to Alexandria today, you can go to a place called Keldika, and it's amazing. And this is why I say it's a completely different view into the Egyptian world that you won't see anywhere else. It's an active place where normal people went every day. In Egypt, think about this. At least the context that we have around the pyramids, normal people couldn't just go up to the pyramids. Even if they weren't made by the Egyptians, we do not find an abundance of artifacts of normal people hanging around the pyramids. Where normal people hung out on was the east side of the Nile. They did not cross that river and go over to the pyramids. It's this sacred place where there's not much around the pyramids other than shaft tombs where people buried themselves. Other than that, people weren't just walking around and hanging around the pyramids, at least before late Egypt, where it seemed like the rules started to like fizzle away and people just started doing whatever they wanted. But we don't find artifacts from like 2500 BC up to 500 BC of people just walking around the pyramids and leaving all their trash everywhere like they do today, going back 2500 years. Anyways, I
want to you mentioned in one of your videos about Alexandria some journal of someone that you were like, man, if we could have this journal, it would tell us first. Tell us about that, because I think that was fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, so Ptolemy the First, he was Alexander's best friend. He grew up with Alexander in Macedonia, which is in northern Greece. And he was right alongside Alexander for Alexander's entire life, his childhood, up until he became king. And then when they conquered the Persian Empire, Ptolemy is at Alexander's hip. Now, this Ptolemy was not Alexander's gay best friend. That was Hephaestion. If they really were gay, nobody really knows, but they often get confused. But Ptolemy was right there with them. That was like the trio: Alexander, Hephaestion, and Ptolemy. Those are the three best friends. And so when Ptolemy arrives in Egypt with Alexander, Ptolemy shares the fascination with ancient Egypt that Alexander always had. That's how they bonded with each other. That was like their friendship. Hephaestion, we don't really know if he cared that much about it, but Ptolemy was really into it. And Alexander knew that like Ptolemy loved ancient Egypt. That was his fascination. And so they experienced so much together in Egypt. And then they leave Egypt after they establish the city of Alexandria. They leave the great architect behind who begins building the city when Alexander leaves. And then Alexander dies in Babylon at 32 years old. And while he's dying, all of his friends are standing around him, including Ptolemy. Hephaestion has died at this point, shortly before Alexander died. And Ptolemy basically asks Alexander, you don't have a fitting heir to your throne. All he has is this, I think, like a Persian infant or an Indian infant son. I think it's an Indian. He marries an Indian princess and he has like an infant son with her, or the son's about to be born. It's something like that. But he doesn't really have a fitting heir to take over. And so Alexander says, to the fittest. That's all that he says. And so it's Ptolemy.
Let the Game of Thrones begin.
Yep.
No, this really is the Game of Thrones. Like this is called the Successor Wars. And so all of Alexander's right-hand men basically amicably, they're like, okay, well, we obviously cannot rule this whole place on our own. Alexander was proof of the fact that one dude can't rule an empire this big. Let's just break it up into like 7 or 8 different pieces and we'll all rule together. We'll all be governors of the different provinces of the Macedonian Empire. And so it's like widely agreed upon. Ptolemy is the number one guy, and Ptolemy's favorite interest is Egypt. So it just makes sense that Ptolemy is going to go to Alexander's city, Alexandria in Egypt, and he's going to be the governor of Egypt. Well, while he's there taking care of it, the whole rest of the Macedonian Empire just falls apart. And during this time, Ptolemy is just writing all of this down. He's keeping, journal of his entire life. And he sees Alexander's empire fall apart. All these wars start happening. And then eventually Ptolemy and his whole family are just stranded in Egypt. They're not allowed to go. They can't really go back to Macedonia. They're not accepted there. They're not royalty there. They're not important people there. So he just has to make it work in Egypt. So he looks around. He sees that the Egyptians don't have a pharaoh and that they need a leader. And he declares himself the new pharaoh of Egypt and separates himself from the rest of the Macedonian Empire, which is like, I can't possibly understate how big of a thing this is. This is a huge deal. Like, this would be the biggest thing in every newspaper during this time. And so anyways, later in his life, he sits down. Have you guys seen the movie Alexander with Colin Farrell and Anthony?
I don't think so. No.
Oh my gosh, this is like amazing. The opening scene of this movie is Ptolemy as an old man, finishing up this book and telling the story of his life. And he's standing on his palace in Alexandria, and you can see the library being built, and you can see the lighthouse being built off in the distance. And so it's this book that tells us everything about Alexander's life and everything about the earliest days of Alexandria all the way up to Ptolemy II. And Ptolemy II is like really the rock star. He's the one that finishes the lighthouse and the library and really turns Alexandria into everything it's going to be. But we know that Ptolemy's book was being held in the Library of Alexandria, and that's the last and only place we know that it was ever held. So probably it was lost in all of those attacks on Alexandria's library. At least that's what I think. And there's so many more that we know existed in Alexandria's library. So what I was saying earlier is when you go to the site Keldika, which still exists today, you walk in and you basically walk down and it's like this cathedral hall with these huge granite columns that line it. And can imagine there used to be a roof. Actually, we should pull up a picture of Keldika.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's spelled with a K. Keldika, Alexandria, Egypt. And it is a corner of Alexandria's university where all of the lecture halls were off to the side. And so when you walk down this alleyway, it's basically this big open air hallway. Yeah, amphitheaters. You walk down that and then you turn right and there's a bath, which is like a bath and gymnasiums were kind of the same thing. Like you would have the cool tub, you'd have the medium tub, you'd have the hot tub. And it was basically a place where I don't know if it's in every Roman Greek city that ladies were allowed to hang out, but definitely the men after like in the afternoon would go hang out there and play sports. They would either box or they'd play this little kickball thing. It was the place that you hung out. And so you have this alleyway that this open air hallway that walks through that. And when you're standing on that, this open air hallway runs right up to a modern day building. And you can imagine if I move that building out of the way and pulled up all the ground and just kept going and kept pulling up all the ground, you would hit the foundation of Alexandria's library because this open air hallway connected directly to it. Yeah, so this is just one of the amphitheaters. But the reason why this is so different than anywhere else in Egypt is because it's I think it's the only place you can go in Egypt. Think about this. It's the only place that you can go in Egypt where normal people hung out. There's not another archaeological site where normal people hung out in all of Egypt. It's only this amphitheater. Yeah. So here's one of the little
That's strange.
Yeah, isn't it? It's crazy. There's the reason being is just obviously because the Egyptians knew where to build a good town, and so everybody else just built their town on top of that. So they're gone. But the temples are like in less hospitable areas. And temples have been preserved. They're so massive that they stay preserved. So you never get to see a place where normal people were. Check this out. So this is a recreation of what this part of the extended university would have looked like. Now, the places with the little domes, those are the baths. And then the open air columned hallways. You see those red columns? Those are solid red Aswan granite that come from 700 miles south. Now, what this says is that underneath the Ptolemies, the Egyptians learned how to do all of this again. They had never done it they hadn't been erecting monuments like this for at least over 1,000 years. And the Greek Egyptians in the Library of Alexandria, in the Museum, re-engineered how to build magnificent edifices like this in Egypt. There's just so much to unpack there. But Alexandria's lighthouse is another great example. It doesn't exist today, but it was within feet of being exactly the same. Yeah, so there's one little hallway. Those are the so those are gray granite that come from a quarry in the Fayum. These columns, and they're giant. Like you're just a speck at the bottom of them. And then off to the left, those red bricks, those are Roman baths, and it's an amazing place. So yeah, I just love Alexandria. It's totally worth seeing if you understand the context of where you're standing, and then you're able to fully appreciate, where you're at. Yeah, so this is like right here. These are little homes that are right up next to the library, and so
like an apartment building,
kind of like that. Yeah, and so you
or
get
dorms,
idea,
maybe.
In our modern day cities, we have cars, so things can be kind of separated from each other. In the ancient world, it was not separated from each other. If you're walking, if you're in the middle of the city, the sun might hit you in the middle of the day. That's how compact the ancient cities were. Like, you could walk out your front door and the side of Alexandria's library, the wall is right there 4 feet away from your front door. And so you're just walking through these little dark winding alleyways in the ancient world. So think about this. Think about the crime. Think about how dangerous it was. Say it again.
The crap. Literal crap.
Yeah. The crime, the crap. Think about how
piss and shit.
Oh yeah. It just you really get a sense of what life was like if you walk around this site with someone who can illustrate it for you. And then, like, I saw everybody on my Egypt tour. I saw all their eyes, like, it just clicked with them, because you don't really have to explain how amazing a pyramid is to somebody. But when you're at a site like this, it takes someone who knows what they're looking at to start telling you, this is what this is, and this is what this is. Think about standing here, look up, look around you. Imagine what this would have looked like. People are walking from here to there. Here's a house, that's a bath. If you're standing here, imagine how loud the city must be with everything else around you. And people, and then it's like, it starts clicking and you're standing there and you're like, whoa. I'm not standing at the base of a pyramid or in some temple. I'm in the middle of the freaking ancient city right now. I'm standing where people just like me used to live. It's Alexandria is a must see, in my opinion. You'll just
when's your Egypt tour?
Egypt. I haven't announced it publicly, but October of 26. Yeah. So
is that an announcement?
That's the announcement.
That's
not an announcement. That was not an announcement.
So it's this right here. This photo taken, if you were to stand right here and turn around and look the other way, if you kept walking along this street or this little open air hallway 2,000 years ago, you would walk straight to the west entrance of Alexandria's library.
Cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just so fascinating. Like I've become totally wrapped up in Alexandria itself. There is so much there.
We know some scrolls had to survive. Not a bunch, but some did. And they're probably in some rich oligarch's house.
Yeah.
Or buried in a museum and not even recognized. But that's what really sucks. So they're, like pieces of a map, of an ancient map. Maybe the Piri Reis map, they said possibly could have been handed down from like there.
Yeah, or the maps that Piri Reis is based off of.
Based off of the source maps. So I mean, somewhere there has to be some.
That would be a good YouTube video idea, because I thought you were just about to ask me, do we know what scrolls survived? And I just realized I don't think I'd be able to answer that. But maybe I should make that a video.
Maybe
I
you
was
should
thinking
make that
it.
a video.
I was thinking it.
Go down that rabbit hole. You know?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
How would we even know?
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Like we do not get our ancient sources from Alexandria's library. We get it from medieval Christians who learned Latin and Greek
There it is.
and then translated it.
Probably.
The Vatican archives. Here's my only thing about the Vatican archives is yes, they definitely do have stuff from Alexandria's library, I would guess, but Alexandria's library is way older than the Vatican. Christianity did not exist when Alexandria's library was burned the first 2 times, and Constantine wouldn't even be converted until 325
So
AD.
maybe it would have to be some conquering army much later on finds a stash of some emperor, and then maybe doesn't even recognize it at first, and maybe some scholars at again, like I said, maybe somebody has the scrolls and doesn't even fucking know it, right? That's
kind of the
Good
other
point.
thing too, right? Yeah. So the other hard part is that the Romans are not like, okay, if it were other Greeks that were sieging Alexandria, you could bet that one of their priorities was to gather knowledge and take it back to Greece. But the Romans are much more barbaric. The Romans are much more warlike. They're not as scientific. They're not as poetic and, scientifically driven as the Greeks or as the Egyptians. That said, there definitely were people who were Roman that were. And so I think that there's a great likelihood that the Vatican archives definitely has stuff from Alexandria.
Romans were Klingons.
No doubt about it. Yeah, but the Romans are kind of like, okay, dude, when the Romans arrived in Alexandria, the reason that Julius Caesar was assassinated was because he had never, ever seen anything like Egypt. And it was a place where he became a god. The city of Alexandria was so much more grand than the piece of shit Rome that was made out of mud bricks and poop, literal poop in the streets. Alexandria was like a magnificent thing that he had never, ever seen before. And this is a guy who traveled everywhere. He was so impressed. That's why he wanted to move the capital from Rome to Alexandria. Like, we got to think about this. We think of Rome as this like great shining beacon in the ancient world. It was really just an incredibly powerful, genius military that swept the Mediterranean and took all the best parts and brought it back to Rome. It didn't really invent anything. It just perfected war and
and assimilated a bunch of stuff too. Yeah. So Rome was like San Francisco or New York.
Sort of. Yeah. Just, they're obviously the greatest empire of the Mediterranean, and there's so much that's interesting about Rome. But yeah, really, they just usurped all of the best parts of the Mediterranean. Augustus, one of, his biggest saying was, he's most famous for saying, basically in his obituary, he has this like stele where he writes down all the things that he did. I forget what it was. It's something that's like, it's called like What I Did. And it's like him listing his achievements. And basically in there, one of the most famous things he says is, when I came to Rome, basically when he was born in Rome or whatever, he found it a city of mud, clay, and bricks, and he left it a city of marble. And so the inspiration for doing this was when he conquered Alexandria and became the new pharaoh of Egypt, essentially. He was so inspired by the architecture of Alexandria and how beautiful it was. He was like, Rome needs to look like this. This is why Julius Caesar wanted to move us here. This place is beautiful. So
he made it a national project.
He made it the national project. It was the national project.
Read my book. Have you read my book, Joe? Joe, have you read my book?
It's in the book. It's in my book.
Dude,
the amount of times he said that. Oh my god.
One of the most liked comments on my episode with Joe was like, somebody was like, at 58 minutes, missed opportunity to say it's in my book. And when you click on it, I'm talking to Joe about something to do with the Olmecs, and he goes, are there pictures of this somewhere? And I should have said, yes, it's in my book. George.
You would have had him cracking up.
God damn.
Oh
Yeah, I could've
man,
done that. Damn
Well,
it.
you'll be back. You'll be back.
that's fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of these days
episodes.
we'll do an episode 2.
You
but
were
yeah,
a
man.
natural, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it was a fantastic. I watch a lot of Joe Rogan. He has incredible guests on, and you fit in very well, and we're very comfortable.
You'll be
You
very
know,
good in the rotation. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very
So,
much, man.
great job.
I had studied my audience for a very long time before I went on that show. My one man audience. I knew what he liked. I knew the conversations he liked to have, and it's the conversations I like to have. And so I went into it kind of. I really thought about like how I was going to go into it, not overthinking it, but I obviously I wanted to be authentic, but I was just thinking, I just need to go in there like. Of course I'm here talking to Rogan. Of course I'm talking to Joe. You know what I mean? It's got to be natural. Like I'm here interested to talk to him. He's here interested to talk to me. It's not like I'm coming in this room and he's reaching way down into the deep pit of YouTube to pull me out and do me
The
a favor.
dregs of YouTube.
Yeah.
No, that's why he's the single best interviewer in the world right now.
Yep.
Because he actually wants to have conversations with his guests, not talk at them. Right.
Yeah.
And he makes you, and it seems like he makes you guys like feel comfortable immediately.
Mhm.
Like, and, that's important. And
Yeah.
he's like just a nice guy, a genuine, curious, nice guy.
And I think it did so much for me. Well, it did so much for me on so many levels, but I think that maybe the biggest thing was it was like a reality check of, hey man, you just went on Joe Rogan. You still have to sit down for 16 hours every Thursday and finish your video that comes out on Friday. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to eat. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to go right down the hole. And, you still have to work just as much as you did before. It's not like it put me out in this like ethereal plane where it just launched me into some other different life. It gave me a little boost. It probably put me forward like 6 months. And I've got like a little nitro boost, but I still have to work just as hard. And actually, I'm working significantly harder than I was before I went on Rogan now.
Working without a net. You're working without a net. So
utterly, completely without an end. There's no day. There's not really days off. I work all hours of the day. There's no time that I clock out. Anyway, we're getting in business stuff, but like,
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
well, you got merch now. The merch is dope.
There's a point where you can clock out a little bit. There is a point. And I highly recommend you do that. Like you're in grind mode now, but like a few years down the road, a couple years down the road, take days off.
Yeah. So Johanna and I just released our own merch line for our Raiders of the Past podcast. Raiders University, which is really cool. I'm so proud of that design. I love that. I just think it looks so perfect. And so we got other stuff coming. I've got my own personal merch that's coming. I'm working with my mom. It's understated stuff. It's not like people are going to walk around with my name.
I love that you're working with your mom. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. So my team has moved from just me to I brought my mom on as a partner in my merch line, and then in a month I'm hiring my sister for video editing and like social media stuff.
Keep it in the family.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And then I might have this little dude from Bangladesh working for me. So
nice.
He seems like a cool guy.
Okay. Random.
Yeah. So here's the Raiders new stuff. And
has Johanna had her kid yet?
I don't think so.
No, but
very pregnant though.
Very soon. Very soon.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, congratulations to her.
Agreed.
I know she's ready to be a mom. Yeah, I know she's like ready to get into the actual mothering phase and ready for her daughter to be here and everything. I'm really excited for her. So we've been working on that, and right now my big thing that I'm focused on is leveling up YouTube. I've got 2 projects that I'll tell you guys on here because it's
just
fun.
us.
So I'm working on rebuilding my studio. I've had this background for a while. I'm working on something completely new. Basically I'm gonna remodel this studio, this new house we moved into. I've now got 2 places that I can work out of, and it's gonna be like a 1920s, 30s, 40s kind of lounge room in here. And so I'll have a bunch of different angles that I can shoot from, and it'll be something that's much more comfortable to film in.
I'm picturing like an explorer's club kind of
Couches
energy.
or chairs, lounging-ish chairs.
Sort of, but more understated. I don't know exactly how it's all gonna come together, but yeah, kind of like that, but more understated. It won't be so obvious that you'll just get the vibe that it's like old timey,
I like it.
And then so the 2 series I'm working on right now are something that I don't think anybody has ever like hyper focused on these 2 things before. One that's going to be, I think it's going to attract like a totally new crowd to my channel. But one is going to be Native America's Most Wanted, and it's me doing 30 to 40 minutes like video biographies, and basically me telling the story of Native Americans who just fucked up Europeans, like on a whole other level, like the Comanches, Quanah Parker, Manco Inca, the Iroquois, like the conflicts between Native Americans and Europeans, and the history of the colonial period from the Native American point of view, looking out, to the people arriving on the East Coast and spreading across the Americas, and all the things that most people have never even heard of. So obviously it's a play on America's Most Wanted, but
Freaking cool.
So that's one thing I'm working on. And then the next one that I'm really excited about, and this is going to be my next, not all of them will be travel videos, but some of them will be, where I'm actually getting back out in the field, is a series called The First Explorers. And it is me going around the world, literally, and just in the video topics. And a lot of it has to do with the Americas. But going back to the very first records that we have of particular places around the world, like I don't think a lot of people are even familiar with the very first accounts of people arriving in the Grand Canyon. There's written records. There's just documents upon documents upon documents of all the bizarre things that explorers found in the Grand Canyon. But nobody ever goes back and just reads
any hieroglyphs.
Word. There's all kinds of stuff. If hieroglyphs, rock art, that kind of thing. The exploration down the Colorado River, the very first people in North Carolina, the very first people in New York, the people trying to find the North Passage, to not have to go around South America, the very first people in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Mexico, the Amazon, the Andes, like the very first people on Papua New Guinea. I should say the earliest accounts, earliest recorded accounts. Nobody has ever done a series consistently going back to like, what did the first explorers find in Texas? What did the first explorers find in Wyoming? What did the first explorers find in the Caribbean? What did the first explorers find in Tahiti or Fiji? If you go read these accounts, it's completely bizarre stuff. Like whether it's their interpretation, because they're seeing things that they've never seen before. The first explorers of Hawaii. There's all kinds of stuff here. So those are the 2 series that I'm working on right now that I think are like really unique angles that haven't been explored thoroughly. Maybe there are people who have like played with those similar ideas, but not really ever gone back to it. But like repeatedly hitting that over and over and over again. So
that sounds like something your current audience would actually really enjoy as well. I mean, I know I will. This sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Like as you said, you pull in new people and it's branching out so that you don't actually get, I don't know, burnt out on not that you would, because you're so passionate about the stuff that you do, but it allows you to, really delve into all sorts of aspects of ancient history.
Especially with the first explorers. It also goes to Egypt. Like, what did the first explorers find in the pyramids? Have you ever seen a YouTube video that just literally breaks down the historical documents that are like verbatim bullet points of the things that were found in the pyramids? No, but it's just like it's this angle where it's laid out in a way that
I heard it's in his book, though.
Somebody had laid it out. It is in my book.
It is in the book.
It is in the book. Oh man,
and
I've read those books. It's not like it's the Bible for, there's I think I said it on Rogan, or maybe I wrote it out on X, but Rogan brings up the subterranean chamber, I think, in his conversation with Zahi, and then he says something about how it's in his book. And I had made a video on the subterranean chamber late last year because I bought Zahi's book while I was in Egypt. I got it on a discount. And so
Nice.
and so I went to the subterranean chapter, and it's one page and then another page. You could write an entire book on the subterranean chamber and everything that's in it. So acting like his book, Giza and the Pyramids, is the end all be all Bible of the pyramids in Egypt. It's just silly, because like the amount that you could write about Egypt is completely endless. And to think that your like 350-page coffee table book is the end all be all, utter, complete, airtight explanation is just silly. Yeah, it's just
agreed.
Yeah.
Now, keep a pin as far as video ideas go on that scrolls. On that, where are the scrolls? Are there missing scrolls? Because there has to be.
Let me write.
Tragic to have lost all that to history.
Yeah. Okay, I'm writing this down. What scrolls survive?
Be something for next year or whatever.
I don't know. Maybe I'll do it next week.
It's a pretty awesome.
Pretty good idea. It's a good follow up to that video, right? Okay,
I think so.
I got it written down. Maybe I'll do that.
And people still love Egypt. I know a lot of people who are into this go, man, we're just Egypt out, but we keep finding new stuff. Go look at our good friend Ben from Uncharted X.
Yep.
Go look at his Labyrinth video.
Oh,
that's a great
million views.
Yeah.
That blew up. And it was a great talk at Cosmic Summit. So yeah, I say you should do it. I think you should.
Yeah, there's so much. Sometimes I get Egypt out too, but I always come back. It's the most. I'm completely enamored with the mysteries of the Americas. There's so many holes. Yep. There's so many things to dive into, but Egypt is a beautiful. It's a beautiful eternal oasis of an ancient civilization to like escape back into. It constantly draws me back. Like no matter how. I'll be on the Americas for like 3 months, and then I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, I haven't read about Egypt in a long time. I kind of miss it. It's just it's a beautiful place. Like after you go and all right, are you guys going on the Nile cruise? Are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing Nile cruise, yeah.
When you're on the Nile cruise, and for everybody watching, you are never, ever, ever in your time in Egypt, you're never going to get a sense of what ancient Egypt was like, other than when you're on the Nile cruise and you're between cities, and there's nothing like when you walk up on top of the boat and you look and there's not a little village there, or maybe if there is a little village there, that's a good example. Everything around you is going to be a green, lush, completely, utterly, stunningly beautiful oasis. That's the world that the ancient Egyptians lived in. They did not live in the desert. The Egyptians were not desert people. They lived in the green oasis in the fertile river valley on the Nile River. And it's just stunningly beautiful. And so when you go in their tombs, it'll give you an appreciation. When you just go in the regular tombs and you see, this like stoic man standing on his raft with his pike in his hand, and he's pushing himself through the river, and there's all these, lotus and papyrus flowers around him with birds over him, and his family's with him and his dogs with him. It's not hard to see why they loved the world that they lived in. And they thought that by making all of this art on their tomb walls, they would manifest this world again in the next world. But that in the next world, they would be able to only do the leisurely activities that they love doing. So Egypt is it's actually a tropical oasis. You just don't realize it today because it's just not taken care of in the way that the ancients took care of it. And grain isn't their main export. That's really the reason that Egypt is not rich anymore. But man, you guys are gonna love Egypt. I can't wait to talk to you guys when y'all get back.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go. I mean, I can wait for the plane flight, but once I land, I'm gonna have a really good time.
Such a long plane ride too. Oh my God.
You'll always come back to Egypt. If you've fallen in love with it, you'll always come back. It's just it's the most magnificent civilization that ever existed. And by magnificent, I mean like elegant, timeless, eternal. There's something semi-divine about it, right? Like the way that they depict themselves separates them from us. You cannot have a personal relationship with an Egyptian because they spent so much of their life reaching for eternity that they separate themselves from us. Like you look at the Romans as normal people. Oh yeah, they were as fucked up as everybody else is. Read about, all the emperors and all the awful things that they did. But you read about the pharaohs and they're like stoic, timeless beings that intended to exist for all of eternity. And so everything that they did represents this. And so we look back on them with like this endless fondness because they seem so semi-divine. That's why everybody loves Egypt. And the more you go back to Egypt and the more time you spend like with that material, you'll kind of be like, oh yeah, that's actually what it is. It's like this eternal element of it that keeps me coming back. It's because it's so different. It like defies the like tragic, slowly rotting, dying reality that we all live in. It's this thing that ascends rather than descends. It's just
no
Egypt
entropy.
is an amazing place. Say it again.
No entropy. We're in a constant state of entropy. They did.
Yeah.
They weren't, at least for a little while.
Yeah,
Let's get the
exactly.
soups. Let's get the soups.
All right.
All right. Luke killing it today, man. It's like he's a pro. Ian so forth for 50 British pounds, proper money. If you love dogs, we're cool. That's pretty much we could. I don't trust anybody who doesn't like dogs.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's
it's
really
And
weird
the
when someone doesn't like
don't
dogs.
actively
like
dislike
you.
dogs.
Also,
Yeah, that's another thing too.
also a
Mhm.
thing. That's true. Dogs
Yeah.
sense it.
You do.
Yeah. I don't think I'm friends with anybody that doesn't like
I'm not.
dogs. And I don't think I have a close
Not
relationship
either.
with anyone who doesn't like animals.
Yeah,
They're a different breed of people that I just don't have anything to do with. If you
Yeah.
as a religious person, it's kind of obvious that we have this consciousness in this brain and that we're supposed to be a shepherd. Like we can perceive that, we can remember the past and perceive the future, and we're kind of the shepherd of our world. And for you to like be so self-centered that you only care about yourself and not animals is too cold. It's too cold for me to be around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Oh, but they exist though. They do.
Too many.
Old Gray 81 for $20 says, "Hail, thank you for the X-ray girl. What's a twaffer?
Twofer, like
Twofer.
a 2
Oh, okay.
episodes.
Twofer.
So to speak. Sorry.
That's right. I can't read. It says twofer. It's a thing.
What's this twaf thing?
What's a twat waffle thing?
Twaffer.
Today and Thursday, you are awesome. Thank you. Next, I'll learn to read. I've been recording all day, and I have a lot of recording left to do. So I'm a little brain fried right now. Sacred super, you know what it's like. Sacred super chat of T on the Streamlabs side for $20 says, tonight's sacred donation is brought to you by the Greek god Typos, the god of bad spelling. That's the one I worship every day. PGM 81, a rant for $20 says, hail travelers, forbidden frontier forever. You guys rock. Keep on space trucking. Thank you. Jeff up north for $4.99. What's up, brother? Have a great show. Love your content, Luke. Keep up the good work and be safe in the jungle. Cheers, eh?
Thanks.
Jeff's got a channel.
He does.
He's doing some stuff. Is Luke still going to Italy or for Egyptian studies? Asks Andrew Matthews for 2 British pounds.
Well, I got accepted to the University of Athens for Greek studies, and I don't know. I was just in this. I was in the late spring. I was like in this. No, probably all of the spring. I was in this phase. It actually happened when I left Egypt the second time. I really got into Alexandria, and of course, Alexandria is a Greek Egyptian city, and that rabbit hole kind of took me up to Athens, Greece, and I just intensely studied Athens for like 5 months straight. And it is probably the most dense topic historically I have ever come across. And I should say the most profoundly affecting. Like, if you read Athenian literature, you will become a more conscious, more self-aware, and wiser person. They were connecting themselves. They were putting things into words, these perennial questions that we all ask ourselves. And it was just something in the ancient world that had affected me in a way that nothing else ever did. And it just like completely cast a spell over me for like 5 months intensely. It was the only thing that I studied. And and so I was like, man, and I was kind of like, I don't know, in this, people who know my past, I'm kind of 1 foot in the alternative realm, 1 foot in the academic realm. I got into ancient first. My love for exploration came from my family. My grandfathers were all explorers in the American Southwest and in the Americas, and my grandpa was a gold miner, yada yada yada. But that was kind of the initial thing. But the thing that turned me on to ancient history was reading like Fingerprints of the Gods and listening to, the Joe Rogan podcast when I was 15, 16, exiting high school. And then so when I was in college, I realized that if I didn't study something I liked, I was going to fail. So I started with ancient history. And so from there, the academic world opened up to me. So I had a foot in each side of the fence. And in my ear were so many academics that were like, if you really want to differentiate yourself from everyone else, you should go get a higher degree, a higher education. You'll just be that much more of an expert. You'll have that experience of living in this place and studying there. And when you go back to YouTube, you'll be an expert on a completely different level than anybody else. And, decent advice worked for some of these people I was talking to. This conversation I was having in Egypt was particularly with Garrett Ryan from the Told in Stone YouTube channel. He's an ancient Rome expert. Excellent channel. I recommend him to everybody. But he was telling me, specializing isn't really a bad, idea, especially if you can afford to do it. Anyways, the day before I was supposed to pay the tuition for this school in Greece, I had this dirty feeling come over me where it was like all of a sudden I just snapped out of it. And it was like I was in this, it was like I had this spell over me and I snapped out of it. And I realized that when I started all of this and I started my channel, I wanted to have a broad approach where I just was like an explorer that checked out all of the stuff that I was actually interested in, whether that's ancient Cambodia, ancient Rome, Egypt, Greece, North America, Central America, South America, whatever. And that was the energy that I came into this with. And the more I got into the academic realm, the smaller and smaller and smaller and more micro niched my interest became. And I realized that I was going against the person I was when I started this. And now that I had over the last 6 or 7 years, I had accumulated all of this knowledge and really studied my ass off. And I still do. It's just what I do now. I realized I had to go back to that feeling that I had at the very beginning where I was like Indiana Jones, just whatever I was interested in, that's what I pursued. And the day before I was supposed to pay my tuition, I said I wasn't going to do it. And I went back to the really focusing on the America stuff, because when I was in college, that's the world that opened up to me. Dr. Barnhart opened up to me, being able to work with him. That opportunity opened up to me. And that was like what fate decided for me. And I had to go back to that. And, that's what my grandfathers did, was they were involved in the Americas. None of them ever went to Europe or to Africa or anything. And so anyways, long story short, no, I'm not. I'm just doing me. I'm just focusing on my own stuff now. And so, yeah, I'm never going to go back to school.
I think that's a good
wise choice.
Yeah.
The other one would have been bad, but like now you can, you won't have anything distracting you from your channel. That's got to be your 100% your focus, your studies and your channel.
It's hard to do
studies
both
for your
too.
channel.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really hard, but it's still fun.
Exactly. And a lot of that actually took, I think a good thing that came with that was, a lot of the academics that I had talked to for so long, I just took this massive step back. Not only from like academics I spoke to, but even like people like in the alternative space or whatever. I just took a massive step back from everything. And it was this reminder that like this is really all, my whole life is really about me, my family, and my close friends. And that's all that it's about. And I just had to zone in like what's best for that. And so I've kind of stepped back into my own island. And that's been very, very healthy. Being so headlong into like the space and trying to navigate inside of a space is awful for your mental health and for, you know, your satisfaction in life. But being able to take a huge step back and just stand on my own island and just do whatever I want to do, that reframing was very healthy. And I'm just lucky that somehow I had that, like, I don't know, I just had that. It was like the spell just went away. I don't know how to explain it.
Good.
So
I'm glad
Yeah.
that happened, because if you did go through with it, I think within the first year, you probably would have been like, this is so restrictive. I can't learn what I want to learn. You're being guided by the course.
Higher power working in your life.
I think so.
Richard Curtis, 7905 for 10 British pounds, proper buddy. In the UK, the Middle Ages seemed so much less advanced than during Roman times. Compared to what you're saying about that's still a small time. Yeah, well, I mean, the Romans were more advanced in some aspects than even Middle Ages in Europe. I mean, they had some plumbing for one, you know. Plumbing's a big deal. And into civilization had plumbing too, and that goes way back.
It's hard to say. Like if you were to put, you know, Caesar's legions up against Henry V and his army, I don't know. The Romans might have even at the height of Henry V, like the Romans might have a chance. They were very, very advanced and extremely.
That's better than 100 guys versus a gorilla. It's like let's put up old armies against each other. That's rad.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I hear the explanation that 100 guys will eventually overwhelm the gorilla, but I never hear like, okay, what's the killing blow, right? Like, how are you? Who has the
gorilla's going to walk away and be bored? I mean, he's going to kill a few of the humans and then go, God, this is a pain in the ass.
The gorilla's going to win for sure.
Yeah, Deadliest Warrior. I know that Romans could be Vikings. I'm sure there's a simulator out there, and Deadliest Warrior. And that should never go away, because that is something I would never get tired of.
Yeah, but you can't. But the part with Deadliest Warrior, like that old show, was pairing people up one-on-one doesn't work, because Roman legions, those guys aren't solo fighters. They're a legion, right? So you need like a pack of Vikings versus a Roman legion. That would be much
like
better.
The Unsullied from A Song of Ice and Fire. Okay, great in legions, not very good.
Exactly.
Force Beyond the Trees for $10. Hey Gary, I watched your coverage on Randall's moon video last week, which was tons of fun. Actually, it was just a couple days ago. If you're interested in someone with a background in engineering and /space support the discussion, let me know. Also, how's Adam been? And give us an email. And how have you been, Adam?
Tired. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my son is running around, but dude, he does not want to sleep anymore. Doesn't nap. He doesn't want to go to sleep anymore.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There was this beautiful like 5 months of like he slept pretty strongly at night. The first 5 months was like that, you know, a baby, but you know.
And it's no sleep for a while, bro.
Oh man,
for a while.
This past week, I'm very tired right now.
I was tired.
Dude, the moon video, I was so tired, and then I'm like, I don't know where it came, because I was excited to talk about the moon, but then man, as soon as we were done talking about it, soups came. I could feel myself like getting
fading.
Dreary, man. Yeah, I was
it lasts so long that you don't even realize it. Then one day you're next to your wife, and you're next to your wife, you go, wait a minute, we just slept through the night.
Oh my god, I can't. I don't know what that's like.
You're a ways from that.
I woke up to being kicked in the face today. I just had a little foot, and I just like woke up, and he was just kicking me in the face. I love him though. It's worth it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, totally.
I
Jose A. Taco for $1.99 says, Luke, talk about your Aztec Batman. Great post on X. Fucking
yeah, I forgot to talk about that. Oh,
Batman.
Next time. your face says it all. Oh man.
What the? What?
Exactly. It's like of all the cultures to pick, like you could have picked Inca Batman. That might have been a little better. Aztec Batman.
I just don't understand any of it. Like,
and
what does
apparently,
Batman have to do with the Aztecs at all? How can you even make it work?
they do a bunch of Elseworld world Batmans, but they make it work. I mean, he's still a rich guy, and it's like, wait a minute. Okay, so the conquistadors, they were bad too, right? They were both bad. So you're talking about two bad guys going up against each other. That's not Batman.
That's the thing, right? Is because Batman is a good guy born into a bad place. Not the story of Batman does not have anything to do with two bad civilizations going head to head. And this is the thing. I already know what the show is going to do. I think the thing that pisses me off is not, I don't care about Batman being in like the Aztec world, even though it's odd to me. What it's going to be is that the Aztecs are going to be the good guys and the Spaniards are going to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then they're going to present the Spaniards as these evil colonizers of Mexico. Well, hey guys, the Aztecs colonized Mexico first, and then the Spaniards showed up.
They're not the smartest.
The Aztecs come from the American Southwest. If you want to, okay, North America, north of the Rio Grande, is a fucked up place. Every Native American tribe and civilization north of the Rio Grande, and everyone who's ever lived north of the Rio Grande, is extremely violent. Like, go back to ancient times all the way up to the USA right now. I don't know what it is about living north of the Rio Grande, but we're just violent people. Like, look at the Wild West, look at the Civil Wars, look at all the Native Americans, the Comanches, just violent. Okay, that's where the Aztecs came from. They invaded Mexico and took over the Mexican Valley and then took over all of the rest of Mexico. The reason that the Aztecs fell to the Spaniards is largely because all of the actual Mexicans, all the Mesoamericans, were like, yeah, we want those guys out.
We hate those fuckers.
Yeah,
let's get
exactly.
us.
Let's
get rid of them.
So that's the thing that's like, it doesn't piss me off because I like side with the Spaniards or whatever the hell. It's just so stupid. Like, okay, in history, you can very, 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 very rarely say these are the bad guys. Like Nazi Germany. Okay, there's one of the few examples in all of history where you can say that's definitely the bad guy. But in the rest of history, it's like, okay, are the Spaniards really the bad guy? Let's look at all of their available options here. Okay, invading this new land and going to war over land is really this only people's lot in life. That's what they're going to do. And Genghis Khan's another
little rapey.
Yeah. You know, Nero. Yeah. Nero, the emperor, but I'm talking about, like, I guess civilizations as a whole, you know? So it's kind of like that's the thing that's gonna be more annoying, is that how ahistorical it is. It's gonna act like well, I already know what it's gonna do. They're gonna pretend like ancient Mexico just existed in peace since the beginning, since the ancient Mexicans sprouted out of the ground 10,000 years ago, up until the Spaniards got there and ruined it. When in reality, Mexico was in the middle of a war already. The Aztecs were launching an assault on the Maya world, like 1 day away from wiping out Maya civilization as a whole. So it was two unstoppable forces colliding in 1519. That's actually what it was. So why Batman is involved in this like War of the Worlds, I have no idea.
All I know is
you need to break it down. Sorry, Gary, go.
I talked to somebody who worked on the show, and it's like, and I guess, we were shitting on it on Friday Night Tights, and the guy
really.
Oh well, it was a bad idea. Metastep, this was at Comic-Con. Metastep, thank you for the $1.99. I appreciate the donation. Richard Curtis for £5 British pounds, proper money. I had access to 3 tunnels, cavities in Peru. The mythical fourth is beyond me. Maybe I will visit again and explore further goals. Yeah, that'd be cool. Zorbu in 4 parts for $40. Oh my. Zorbu is processing Gary's book. My favorite part so far is when young Gary cries, my mom, my school teacher, told me to say my ABCs, and all the other boys could say them, and I only got to F. Why is that? Fuck you. Gary's mom said, because you are you, and they are them. The next day, she asked, what's wrong, Gary? He cried, teacher told me to count to 100. Everybody did it, and I only got to 13. Why is that? Because you are you, and they are them. The next day, Gary came home smiling. Mom asked, what happened? He said, we went to the bathroom, and my thing was the biggest of all. Is that because I am me and they are them? Mom said, no, Gary, it's because you're 17 years old and they're 6.
Oh my God. Oh my jeez. What the fuck? What's happening?
I don't know. The face palm, both of you guys.
Oh, anyways, really touching stuff from Gary. Hashtag you are our hero. Right. Rook taking rooks for 1999 says the way Luke is talking about ancient Egypt reminds me of some words with a mummy by Edgar Allan Poe. If you haven't read it, please do. Very mysterious and cosmic. Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Maybe I need to check it out.
Rufio for 199 says X-Ray. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Great stream. Yeah, did you parallel park the Enterprise?
Thank you. Everyone who was captain, the ship exploded each time, but when I was captain,
Oh,
yeah,
we survived missions.
Wow.
The one time X-Ray Girl can drive.
One time.
I didn't drive this time.
Yeah, save it for reality, please. Has anyone thought about all of the statues touching their stomachs as and pointing to, well, it's not their stomachs they're touching, their navel region.
Mhm.
And Göbekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill. Is there a starting point? I think Göbekli Tepe is the earliest known example of the statues touching their navel region or their sphincter, their Von Stucker.
Yeah, the Tepes are the earliest known examples of anything.
Of anything.
There's not really a chapter that we found that's older than that yet.
But there is a book out there that has found all of them and take a picture. It's a great book, by the way.
It's so good.
Apex Caliber for 199. Gary, will you get Tim Alberino on the show? Sure.
Mhm.
I know who Tim Alberino is.
Someone mentioned him before,
Yeah.
I think.
X-Ray Girl likes dogs, eating dogs, says Eric K.
Well,
She ate my dog.
Delicious.
Poor
not
Gomez.
welcome anymore.
R.I.P. You want to go to Luxor and see the real royal tombs? I've been to Luxor in Vegas, but not the
But we're
real
going to
Are y'all
look.
going to the Valley of the Kings for your tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a lot of people don't like it because it's not like, temples, pyramids, whatever. Just go into it knowing that some of the most important people who ever lived were buried down there. And just like think about it from that point of view. I think that a lot of people, when they go to Egypt, they're really interested in the grand mysteries. And I think a lot of people leave having a much higher appreciation and a much bigger interest in dynastic Egypt itself, like the New Kingdom, around 1500 BC. You see everything that they built and everything that they did, and you realize oh, they did a lot. There's discrepancies about whether or not the dynastic Egyptians built the pyramids, but the dynastic Egyptians really did a lot, and they're really a fascinating civilization to study. And I think that when you come back, you'll realize there's even more there to sink your teeth into, but it took you seeing it for it to be oh my God, this is
like seeing the terraces in Peru.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That was fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Eric Mod for $5. And Eric, now I remember watching this movie. I'm like, Alexander with Colin, what the? But Eric has pinpointed the moment that reminded me that I did see this movie in theater many years ago. Adam, watch Alexander for Rosario Dawson, if nothing else.
Well, I'm interested now.
They play loose with the history bit. Yeah. I remember Rosario Dawson now. Hail Familia, just catching up, says Sophie. What's up, Sophie? So I call you out, Sophie. Sophie warned us a couple episodes ago, like, not every place in Peru is awesome. Hail Julius Seizure, says Ira Oxen. Julius Seizure. I like that. Andrew Matthews for 1916 for 2 British pounds. What level of metalworking did Americans reach?
Well, I mean, very sophisticated goldsmithing. Very sophisticated goldsmithing.
They are in Pumapunku. There was some thoughts that there was metallurgy of some kind going on up there. Definitely bronze.
The binding. Good Lord, what is the name of those? The
keystones.
Keystones, yeah. Then they would pour like molten silver or something down inside the little grooves, and it would basically link the blocks together. This is something that you see even in Egypt as well.
Everywhere. I was so excited when I saw one.
I remember you talking about that.
I was so excited. Sophie.
Keystone.
Yeah, I yelled it. And I'm like, come here. If not the Spanish, it'd have been someone worse. At least most countries remain Christian. People in Europe really looking kindly at the Crusades nowadays. Yeah, the Crusades got a bad rap for a while, but I think they've made a comeback as far as like their necessity and what was going on. And as Luke pointed out, there's justifications on their side for sure.
Yeah.
I would agree with myself, but plus they had really cool just the way they the big red cross and their armor and shit just look fucking cool.
Yeah. In the late 1500s, in the late 1400s, 1500s, I mean, the world had moved from civilization the Tigris and Euphrates and the Nile River. That's where civilization really began. And these isolated pockets, and then it spread out to the rest of the Mediterranean, and then it spread out to largely to Europe and into near Asia, with the Muslim cultures and the medieval European cultures, and then it spread out to the oceanic coastlines. And then by that point, you have naval fleets that are ready to set out onto the world and to gather resources and bring them back. That was going to happen. The slave trade was going to happen. The world economy where people were enslaving indigenous people for their resources, all that was going to happen. And nobody, not one person, nothing was ever going to stop it. And so it's kind of like when you look back on history, it's, you have this momentum of civilization that moves forward that's more powerful than anybody can really understand or imagine. And it just has this course that it's going to take and nobody can stop it. And that's why kind of calling the Spaniards the bad guys as compared to the Aztecs is stupid, because they're both bad in their own ways, but they're both great and amazing in their own ways. There's some really heroic Spaniards that do incredible things. And there's a lot of wonderful aspects about the Aztec world as well. So it's kind of, anyways, that's my soapbox. I don't know.
Good soapbox. It's all good. It's all good. Where was I? Jeff Up North for 1999. In all fairness, on the topic of X-Ray Girl driving, I am living proof that she can drive people from one location to another without killing everyone in the vehicles or minivans full of families on the road. Okay, like one anecdotal story.
I also drove Garrett. He's alive.
Is he though?
I don't know. He's not here right now.
He's not here.
I also have driven your vehicles. They're fine.
Last thing I heard from him was he needs some link to an article.
He's in the factory right now.
He's in the factory.
Okay,
he's in the field,
toiling away. Nathan Cassidy for $4.99 could be worse. We could be getting Mongol Superman. Oh wait, James Gunn already did that.
Oh God.
Oh, don't even get me started on that stuff going around today. It's just hard, just explain something to me and I'll be fine if you can completely explain it. How Man of Steel was not successful. How the Batman, by some, was considered not successful.
Right.
but James Gunn's Superman is, and it's made less money than both. If somebody could logically explain that to me,
I think the word is cope.
I think the word is cope.
Delusion.
Yep.
I mean, like, if you
Also
like the movie, groovy, totally groovy.
True.
I
know some people that liked it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was very good. Dragon Sworn for $10. You should check out Lost History of North America with Dr. Nathaniel Jensen. He goes through overviews of Native American oral histories.
That's cool.
Oh, cool. I will have to check that out.
Which we don't hear it. Like we've heard some, but there are many we haven't heard at all because they don't fucking trust us.
Yeah,
and they won't pass it on. Also, they warred a lot and they're all dead and they forgot them. Yeah. I was just looking up what's her name? Oates. The one with the tattoo. The one who got her family was massacred in Yuma in 1850? Like late on. And then she was brought up. She was enslaved by an Indian tribe for 5 years. They left her brother for dead. He did live, but and they took her and her little sister.
This isn't Quanah Parker's mother. Is this Fort Parker you're talking about? That was
her last name is
by the Comanches. Or is this?
She has a tattoo right here. So those pictures. She's famous for having this the slave tattoo.
Basically. The thing I learned just in the last couple of months is there's like 3 women like that are famous that all have the same story. Is her name Fanny? Her first name?
I'll look it up right now.
I don't know, but anyways, there's a lot of stories like that.
Yes, there and it was no, that's not it.
It's the lady that inspired the girl, the prostitute on Hell on Wheels, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
that was a good show.
By the way,
Oatman.
Season 1 through 4.
All of Oatman.
Ever.
All of Oatman.
Dude, Hell on Wheels, awesome show.
Hell on Wheels is great. So all of Oatman was the Family Massacre site was in Yuma County, 1851. 5 years later, she was freed. We had to trade some blankets and wine and beads or whatever. And they were afraid that, basically they said, you need to trade her in. We'll give you this stuff. And if you don't, there's a bunch of white people are going to come murder you all. Yeah. So then they finally let her go. She talked about it and wrote books about it, stuff. Really interesting story, and has I found it because I found one of those YouTube videos, Luke, with the AI. So they take old pictures and then they bring them to life. And she was part of it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I looked it up. I went down.
Yeah. Speaking of oral histories, I'm reading this book right now, or really listening to the audiobook called The Cherokees at War and Peace. It's a new book that I just came out in the last couple months. And the reason I'm reading that is because I moved up to Cherokee territory now. And so I want to start visiting the sites, but I want to know more about their history. But we really don't know a lot about it other than some of the first oral accounts. Get this. They remember, or they have passed down the stories of their ancestors many thousands of moons ago coming over mountains of ice down into the land that they're in now. Is that them coming across the Bering Strait during the Ice Age? Are they able to remember that and pass down
crazy?
And if they are, and I've never ever heard anybody talk about this other than in this one book, and I heard that and I went,
what?
And where's the link to your YouTube video about this?
I wish I had
more.
I wish I had one about this. I will. I'm going to start doing Cherokee stuff. I mean, I really haven't done anything in North America other than, Mexican cultures. But
idea book.
Yeah.
Always have your idea book right next
idea book.
Or your phone.
Oh, mine is like my notes app is just absolutely.
Yeah, I do voice recording too.
These are all my video ideas.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah. Just
wow.
Yeah, that's just like one of the pages. There's just so much. I'll never get to all of them, but I heard that and I was like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. So who's to say when all these cultures talk about a great deluge and a flood that sweeps over all of the known land, You know, we have them remembering coming across the Bering Strait during the Ice Age, the Cherokee, who exist on the east coast of the United States 12,000 years later. You know, it's pretty
That's
fascinating
crazy.
stuff. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I should say, this is why the series I'm doing, The First Explorers, is so important to me, because this comes from the first documents. Like, you know, nowadays we just kind of, in the popular space, we just kind of repeat things that people have been saying for 50 years, but no one's ever gone back and looked at like these original documents and then just go through them. And so I'm reading these books that are based on these original sources. And then I hear that and I'm like, oh, I never knew that. I never heard anybody say that. But it's just it's like another notch in that argument that oral history can be more accurate than most people think, you know?
Yep. They don't give it enough respect.
Yep.
Nasia, welcome to the Traveler level. Dr. Gordo says, I made a clip from Karahan Tepe. Did you get a chance to see it? What an amazing trip to Turkey. Thanks, FF, for the inspiration. Did you email it?
Cool.
Or did you send it on Twitter? Let me know. Email it, because I'd love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. Megalithomania has been killing it lately on that subject. The last two for the evening. IV plans for $4.99 says, Luke, will you ever review the history of the East Coast? There are old world buildings that have untold stories, like in New York City.
Well, I do want to do New York City. There's so much that's out there, way more. Henry Hudson. I am doing something on him in The First Explorers and his accounts of exploring that whole northeast coast. Man, there's a lot out there. There are dolmen sites up in the forest, like shaft tomb.
Yep.
These shaft tombs made out of megalithic stones in the forests in New York. And nobody knows who made them. Nobody has a single idea of who made them, how old they were.
One of the theories was it was pilgrims.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, farmers. Just farmers built it.
Farmers.
If farmers were doing that, they'd be way more common than they are. You'd see them everywhere. And it would be an understood thing, right? Like, our civilization didn't get wiped out. You know, people look back on history and they're like, oh yeah, farmers and pilgrims in the 1600s were doing such and such because this makes sense. And this is what they were always doing in Europe. If it wasn't being done in Europe, they didn't just start doing it when they got here.
Right. There's dolmens in Minnesota. I didn't know that.
Cool. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Jeff, send me an email with those. LukeCaverns@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I'd love to check it out.
Hell yeah. Last one of the night. Staccato DDS for $50. Thank you. He's got a question for Luke. Why did they move away from using pyramids to the Valley of the Kings?
Well, if you're going off of the traditional explanation, man, we honestly don't even know why they went away from pyramids. Like, I could go through the whole tomb theory, they originally 5,000 years ago, or even longer than that, are putting people in these sand pit burials. And then they come back and they realize that the jackals, like the feral dogs that hang around in the desert near the swamps, can smell the bodies, and they dig up the bodies and eat their ancestors and, just dishevel the graves. And they're like, oh, well, that can't be very good for my grandpa. I wonder what that does to him in the afterlife, if there is such a thing. And then, over thousands of years, people start thinking like, we probably should bury our dead in a way that they can't be defiled. And maybe, people want to take things with them when they die. Like, there's things you might want to be buried with, whatever. So they think that the pyramids is essentially just a fortress to protect the body for all of eternity, as well as being like a symbol of power, right? It's an amalgamation of these two things. I could literally talk about this for 5 hours, but I'm not going to. But eventually they realized that the pyramids don't work to protect the bodies. I mean, this is the traditional explanation. And then they realized that it doesn't work to protect the bodies. So they tried to invent new things. And so Ahmose the First, who is the founder of Dynasty 18, essentially goes on an expedition across the city of Luxor, which is the religious capital of ancient Egypt, and he goes through the mountain passes that you'll see if you ever go to Luxor, Egypt, and look at where the Valley of the Kings is. And he goes around the back of these mountains into the canyons, and he realizes that it's such a desolate, secluded place that if they started making these shafts way up on top of the hill and then down inside the mountain, underneath the mountain, that maybe this could be like a fortress of solitude that no one was ever going to discover and be able to raid. And that's why they started building the Valley of the Kings. Now that's not theory. That probably is actually what happened. I mean, the Egyptians wrote down that that's exactly what they did. At least by the 18th dynasty, we have a pretty good record of like what exactly is happening. But I wish I had a better explanation of like the transformation, but we just know so little about pyramids in general.
I think you got like pyramids weren't good for dead bodies because they weren't made for dead bodies.
Mm-hmm. And there's even a traditional, I've done this on my channel. I've even following the most conservative Egyptology possible, being as self-aware and as critical as I can possibly be. I still come to the conclusion that the Egyptians were not actually ever putting bodies inside of the pyramids. I'll just leave it there. But I think that
there you go.
I think that even if the Great Pyramids are made during the 4th dynasty, even if the Great Pyramid was commissioned by Khufu himself, I think that the likelihood is he was never actually going to be buried inside that pyramid. That it's something else entirely. But I'll just leave that there. I've talked about it on my channel a bunch, so it's not worth getting into, but yeah.
Rook taking rooks. The Traveler says, thank you, everyone, and Luke, for the good work you are doing in the field of anthropology and history. I'm very grateful for all that you do. There you go. Hell yeah, brother. Eric Maud, last one of the night for $2 says, wild dogs are usually Salukis in the Middle East. There you go. I haven't been there.
Same.
Yeah, if you want to know what they look like, they are the god Anubis, the little jackal.
Yeah.
That's those are those dogs. Oh. Sometimes I do this on these shows where like people will say things and I won't realize it. Dude, the reason Anubis is the escort from death into the afterlife is because those fucking dogs, they would always see them at the graves during prehistoric times, digging them up. I bet you that's what it is. And I bet you
trying to eat the bodies.
And I bet you there's some kind of mythology, spirituality thing that over thousands of years, them thinking about their natural world.
Well,
they associate these jackals with death and movement into the next world.
And there are some, not all, including Chuck from CFAPS, who's passed away, who thought the Sphinx was not originally a lion, but was originally a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dog. Yeah. All right. And what was that last one we got? I saw that just pop up.
Yes.
Last one of the night, says JB24. Thanks, buddy. They're Canadian pesos.
I like that one.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up right there. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks to the Nerdrotics. Thanks to everyone who left super chat donation. Thanks to everyone who supports this channel. I got to get back to work. I got to eat.
Yeah,
but then I got to get back to work.
Go to sleep.
But Adam, what do you got to do before you go to sleep?
I'm gonna go to sleep.
And then go.
No,
to sleep.
I got my meetup September 13th, Illinois, Arlington Ale House. Extra Girls coming. Garrett's coming. I got a lot of other people that are coming. September 13th. I'm going to be playing a full set. Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm going back to, I'm going to be basically in Illinois for all of September. It's going to be awesome.
Melissa
I'm going for my brother's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Melissa might come by. I mean, there's a few others that are trying to make it that they haven't confirmed yet, but I'm not going to say, but I'm very excited. I get to meet a lot of my friends. I get to hang out with a lot of my friends, not only like my internet friends, but also like my friends from high school, childhood friends. My family's going to be there. My dad's going to be there. Like I got so much. Yeah. You guys get to meet my dad. Like it's very awesome. I'm very excited. So
that's awesome.
Other than that, check out the Crigler Show. Just doing my thing on my channel. Thanks.
Crigler Show, being a dad. There you go. X-Ray Girl.
I don't want to promote all my stuff, but we do have 5 spots left on the Egypt tour. We opened 5 extra spots to go. So if you missed it the first time, you can still get your ticket.
November 17th through 23rd. It's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun. Wait. Wandering Wolf, Michael Collins. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Luke, what do you got coming up?
Oh, I got a video this Friday's video is over the Nazca mummies, and I'm breaking that down. I'm not getting into the whole like studying the anatomy of it thing, trying to prove whether or not it's a hoax, blah, blah, blah. That's not my expertise, and it sounds boring as hell to talk about because everyone else has already talked about it. But I'm going to be diving into the pre-Columbian cultures and their affinity with body deformations and skull elongations, and trying to find a place for the Nazca mummies. If they're not a hoax, trying to find a place where they actually do fit and make sense in the pre-Columbian world, and then giving my theory on if they're not a hoax and they're actually authentic, what I think that they might plausibly be. So yeah, that's what I'm working on.
That's excellent. Because it's gone back and forth on hoax, not hoax, and I know, but the fact that it's gone back and forth still is interesting.
Yeah, man, it's there's so much about that like so many of us who are involved with it just can't talk about. I can talk with you guys about it off the air, but this is mine's just straight up going to be about pre-Columbian cultures and their affinity for deformations. But there's a lot to this mummy thing. So yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. I'm working on a video. Will it be out tomorrow?
Hopefully.
I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much my meal energizes me. Because I'm a little burnt right now. But yeah. Otherwise it'll be out Tuesday. But and we'll be back next Sunday. What are we doing next Sunday? Talking about the moon some more?
I think so.
Yeah, we're going to continue our moon discussion.
Yeah. We didn't even
got
talk
a
about
lot more
the phenomena.
We didn't hit all of the.
We did not hit everything.
The phenomena is like a whole thing. Yeah.
Damn it, there's so much more. And then I got a couple emails and like, you missed this, and I'm like, you're right.
Sorry.
So no,
just didn't have enough time.
But next Sunday, not Thursday, I've got got a lot going on this week. Alien Earth is coming out.
Oh, and we got to talk about this.
Nobody to
potential
AI
UFO.
A1 the UFO site. Okay, so I went to her Twitter. She says she gave coordinates, but I don't know where the fuck she gave them because it wasn't on Twitter. And then she said the site's blurred out.
Of course,
I think a lot of people are listening to her because she's kind of pretty.
Okay, I could see
totally understandable, to be honest with you. Yeah, the 31 rock, whatever it is, they got a bigger picture of it.
Oh,
it looks like a comet to me, but it's gonna be swinging around soon.
Yep,
it's gonna be swinging around soon. So we'll discuss that as well.
I have a Streamlabs. Jose Taco for $1 says, I believe that the pyramids and temples are humans trying to recreate the Tower of Babel and bring down the angels to bring back the Nephilim life.
I don't know if you want to bring back the Nephilim. They didn't sound very nice.
Yeah, I agree.
No, they didn't.
They did not sound very nice.
They were banging all of our chicks too.
They were
taking all of them. Sorry, X-Ray.
No, it's a good story.
I don't even know what to say.
X-Ray Nephilim boyfriend.
My book is hey, it's a 134. That's
killing
awesome. It's awesome. 2,700 books sold. PDF is in. Audiobook starts next week.
So excited.
Awesome. And I think we're gonna have some by SpaceCon. I think they start going into print like towards the end of the I don't want to speak too soon, but so SpaceCon, which will be in October here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, we better have books by then. It's not a we should, we fucking better. So that's what I'm saying right there. And you never know, maybe stuff starts clipping out early. It just depends if we get the count and all that stuff, but I'll be completely transparent when I know something. But thanks to everyone who supported the book. I really appreciate it. That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
And Hope you
It's a
like
huge accomplishment to get a book out. It really is.
it. Was 2 years.
Hell yeah.
And I didn't think it would be, I mean, I'd help, but I didn't think it would be like that difficult, but it was a challenge.
Yep.
And there will not be a sequel.
So you think you're one and done? You think you'll ever do another?
Well, on nonfiction, yeah. On fiction,
Oh,
I thought.
Maybe do something.
small arms.
cool.
Small arms.
Oh my gosh.
That's
fiction?
code word for. Anyway,
Spoiler. Yeah.
people.
Spoiler.
All right. So thanks everyone. Thanks to the Nerdrotics again. And thanks again to Luke Caverns for giving us his time. We really appreciate you, brother.
Yep.
Super
Hell
happy
yeah.
for you. We're rooting for you. Everybody in the chat's rooting for you. Good things happen to good people.
Well,
Everybody,
Really good work.
Gary, you were the guy that really, really, really verbally pushed me to take the leap and quit my job. And you were the guy that made my, you and your wife made my wife feel a lot better about me quitting my job to pursue this. And so, man, can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me, bro.
it's all good. I mean, there's certain times you have to take the leap. There's certain times out there, folks, do not quit your job. But there's certain paths if you're on, especially if you have a marketable skill.
Yeah.
It's like you can go get another job.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this is your dream. You know, you got to
Yeah.
go for those things when you
Yeah.
get the chance. Strike when you can. So,
And
again,
I've never actually said this publicly, but it was tough for a long time after I quit my job. So I quit like October 9th. That's when I left to go to Egypt for the first time. And then from that point on, I went to Egypt twice, Peru twice, Cambodia, like Mexico 5 times, Guatemala once, just a lot. And at every moment, I had less than $1,000 in my bank account. And when I was on Rogan, I had $19 in my account. And dude, all that work like bubbled over, and like the change in my life from Rogan till now is insane.
it's
And
insane.
It's completely insane. And so just taking the leap and just believing when everyone around you thinks that it's fucking insane what you're doing, it can pay off if you just put your heart into it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
If you're grinding, you don't
Yeah.
have time to listen to the naysayers.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived most of my life like that. I lived the vast majority of my life like that. So it makes you, but you know what? Don't ever forget that.
yeah.
Don't ever fucking forget that. And it will, live beneath your means. And there is no price. There is no price on freedom, on not having a boss and freedom. And there's going to be rough months. With YouTube, there's going to be rough months. That's just part of it. But all you have to do is go, they weren't as bad as those things. They weren't as bad as, $19 in my bank account. I'd have been stoked some days to have $19 in my bank account.
Dude,
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah, we put the I didn't want to complicate things with Rogan because we were in the middle of moving, and we put the hotel room and all of the gas money to get to Austin on my wife's student loan card because I didn't have the money in my account to do that. And
no, that's you did what you have to do, and it all paid off.
You made things work.
You made it work.
for sure.
Hell yeah. Love hearing stories like that. All right. Thanks again, Luke. Thanks everybody in the chat. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the Forbidden Frontier.